I am starting to wonder if self-destruction is the primary goal here. I'm starting to wonder if ESPN is intentionally trying to destroy the league that they pretended to help build. The thing is, we already know how this movie ends. We've already seen this story before. 4 years ago, the NBA, they decided to jump aboard the Bruce caboose. Adam Silver made the conscious decision to allow LeBron James to lead the NBA down the path to embracing mythical racism. If you were a supporter of Donald Trump at the time, Orange Man bad! If you supported the Trumper, the NBA basically told you that we don't want your business. As a result, almost 50% of the NBA audience said, fine, we'll just watch something else. Vast majority of those people never returned. Here we are, 4 years later, and the NBA is still struggling. We are in the middle of the NBA Finals, and no one is talking about the NBA. Right now, dump divers in the WNBA, along with their pretend friends in the mainstream media, they are leading this polished turd of a league towards the path of no return. They are trying to turn the WNBA into a narrative of us versus them. If that narrative continues, I think it will have disastrous impact on the WNBA. But if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Yesterday, we talked about the previously unknown Monica McNutt and her appearance on The Daily Show. Unlike the rotating panel of huge embarrassing failures that attempt to host The Daily Show on days not called Monday, Monica McNutt, she was not there to host the show. For possibly the first time in her media career, she was asked to appear as a guest. The only reason Monica McNutt was asked to appear as a guest on The Daily Show is because her media career has been propelled into the mainstream thanks to the star power of Caitlin Clark. If not for Katie Rue Clark, poor Melanie would still be giving away free media passes outside of high school gyms, trying to convince the reporter from the Waste Management Tribune to come inside and cover pretend basketball. But during her appearance on The Daily Show Monday night, Jon Stu asked Monica what I thought was a brilliant question. Is there a sentiment in the WNBA where players and media want to keep the league all to themselves? Basically, Jon Stewart asked Monica McNutt if she wanted the WNBA to continue to be a huge embarrassing failure. The league, supposedly dedicated to inclusion, can keep themselves exclusive, but they would continue to be ignored by the mainstream. And what I thought was a surprising response, Monica McNutt, she raised her hand and confirmed the sentiment. The woke media, they only want the WNBA to succeed if the face of the league checks enough woke boxes. Since Caitlin Clark is the undisputed face of the WNBA, the woke media, it seems like they want the WNBA to go back to normal. This absolutely sucks! I miss the days when we were using the porta potties. I miss carpooling on the Schwinn to road games. Oh, how I would give anything to go back to playing in empty arenas if it meant that Bob Greiner was still the face of our disgraceful dump. Over the past few weeks, we have seen the media try to make the popularity of Caitlin Clark about race. They have claimed that the only reason that Caitlin Clark is popular is because she's a straight white girl from Middle America. I believe the Radiant Sun hosting my favorite Yenta from The View, I believe she diagnosed the popularity of Caitlin Clark with a double dose of privilege. Katie not only has white privilege, she has pretty privilege too. It's so devastating. Does anyone seriously believe that Caitlin Clark has any privilege in the WNBA dump? For the past month, she has been treated like shit. If that's what the media calls privilege, I'd hate to see what they consider to be oppression. Now, ESPN seems to be using the same flawed strategy that the NBA used 4 years ago. They are directly attacking fans of Caitlin Clark and calling them racist. Monday on Around the Horn. Well, Casey, I didn't know that Around the Horn was still on the air. Yeah, judging by their recent ratings, neither did anyone else. If it wasn't for Pat McAfee, Around the Horn would be one of the least watched shows at ESPN. But don't worry, Tony Reale. As long as Patty remains at the worldwide leader in woke, your show won't be the biggest failure. It's kind of sad what happened to Around the Horn. This show used to be legendary. When I was in college, we used to watch Around the Horn damn near every day. The panel was entertaining. Woody Page, Jay Mariotti, Tim Calishaw. They even featured Bill Plaschke before he pretended to be triggered by the word Chiefs or Braves or Seminoles, Indians. Oh, Indians! That word is so painful! The panel on Around the Horn used to feature reporters and journalists that people had actually heard of. Today, the Around the Horn panel is a great representation for diversity and inclusion, but unfortunately for ESPN, there's just not a lot of substance, and there's damn sure nothing entertaining about it. Monday afternoon, the panel of unknowns on Around the Horn, they were discussing Caitlin Clark being left off of Team USA. Now, I use the word discussing because there doesn't seem to be much debate these days on Around the Horn, just a panel of nameless faces constantly agreeing with each other when it comes to social issues. Tony Reale, he gave the floor to some dude named Dennis David or Junior Dennis. Junior, he is the senior writer at Anscape. Now, for those that don't know, Anscape is the division of ESPN that is dedicated to covering mythical racism in sports. So it should come as no surprise when Dennis David accuses fans of Caitlin Clark of being racist. Before I show you this clip though, I will say this about Anscape. Even though most of the articles on the site are filled with lies and propaganda, they do have a great series of articles during the NBA regular season. At the start of each NBA season, they select a handful of players to write down their experiences throughout the year. Once a month, Anscape publishes these journals. It's a great idea, and it really gives you some insight into the minds of NBA players during the season. Other than that, though, Anscape is complete garbage. But anyway, Junior David, he came up with an interesting description to describe fans of Caitlin Clark. Watch for yourself.
Yeah, the mission statement is to win gold medals and represent the United States while growing the game. The part about growing the game, you need to win gold medals in order to do that. And for the history of Women's Team USA basketball, what they do is they put the roster that puts them best equipped to win gold medals. And there have been a lot of players who have been snubbed along the way. Candace Parker being one of those players. And there can be a healthy sports debate about whether Caitlin Clark should make this team. The problem here is, and what concerns me going forward, is those people on the fringe that do exist, that are in real life, not just internet trolls, politicians, pundits, and people of the like who are using Caitlin Clark as an avatar to lash out at the people who they have disdain for, mainly the makeup of the WNBA, black women et al.
As you just saw, Dennis Jr. started off okay. Even though he was wrong, he at least started off talking strictly from a sports perspective. He claimed that women's basketball could grow the game by winning gold medals. Haven't they won 7 consecutive gold medals? According to their own website, they have won gold at every Olympics from 1996 to 2020. If you compare WNBA ratings in the late 90s to WNBA ratings today, their ratings are down significantly. Even games featuring Caitlin Clark aren't coming close to what the WNBA was drawing on NBC in the late 90s. So, I'm struggling to understand how winning gold medals is going to grow the WNBA. And number 2, maybe Candace Parker got snubbed at one point, but she didn't get snubbed as a rookie, so I'm not sure what the hell the point was that Dennis Jr. was trying to make there, but it's the last part of the clip that could be problematic for the WNBA. David Dennis, he accuses fans of Caitlin Clark of having disdain towards black women. Now, of course, he doesn't provide examples because he probably couldn't find them. From what I have seen, this entire debate about Caitlin Clark being excluded from Team USA, it has been focused on the missed opportunity for the WNBA to grow the league, the missed opportunity to actually draw an audience and grow the league globally. The only people that that are making this about race, they are collecting woke welfare in the mainstream media. And it's not just Monica McNutt and David Dennis at ESPN. Headline at the Washington Post: as the WNBA rises, so do tired old tropes about black women. The Washington Post claimed that Caitlin Clark is being victimized because she's white. They tried to make their point by comparing the average amount of fouls that Caitlin Clark receives every game to some other unknown dump diver in the WNBA. Washington Post also claimed that people believe white lives matter more in the WNBA. Where is that belief? Just like their fellow deacons at Woke United Methodist at ESPN, the Washington Post, they fail to provide one example, or I guess I should say one valid example. The Washington Post included examples of the so-called privilege that Caitlin Clark is receiving. Their examples were just complete bullshit. This is a very slippery slope for the WNBA. We saw what happened when race was injected into the NBA. Seems like the media is intent on destroying the momentum of Caitlin Clark, and in turn, destroying the WNBA. The media wants to keep the WNBA all to themselves. What they are basically saying is, we don't want white people watching our league. Just think about that. What functional business would come up with a strategy that excludes 70% of the population? This was always going to be an uphill climb for the WNBA because of the overall negative perception of the league. Now, you finally have a superstar that can change people's perception. You finally have a star that can convince people to give the entire WNBA a chance. And what are you doing with this opportunity? You're destroying it. Like I told you guys before the season, the WNBA, they got one chance to get this right. They have one opportunity to build a sustainable audience. Kinda hard to do that when the media keeps injecting race into the conversation. We already know how this ends. But give me your thoughts on this. David Dennis accuses Caitlin Clark fans of having a disdain towards black women. Woke media, they seem intent on destroying the WNBA. How do you think this ends? Can the WNBA survive the media injecting race into the conversation and basically accusing fans of Caitlin Clark of being racist? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys later.